What's up, guys? Brett from FBA Excel. If you're joining us in the member training, you've probably just watched the onboarding video. The second video is going to be just how to set up your initial bid optimization settings and then quickly get to optimizing your bids. It's only going to take a few minutes, so let's jump right into it. In the last video, we ended up with having all of our tabs down here set up correctly after the onboarding, and here we're looking at our bulk sheets file that is formatted. We've got the additional columns off here to the right that are going to be super helpful in the future, but right now we're just going to jump over into our product dashboard where we've got some default inputs here at the top, and depending on your settings, you want to really pay attention, make sure you got this set up correctly, but we're going to go with the waterfall bidding automation, and we're going to do that at the product dashboard level. So from this selection, we got the products selected. These other two, if we want to toggle between and test those out, we can make sure that those are set up accordingly. The iterative is always going to be the product, so you don't need to make a selection there. But if you're just getting started, I would recommend going with the product view for everything. It's a little more straightforward and simple. And then as far as the layout for the products dashboard, you're going to want to pick which of the three you're going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and use one of the ratio bidding automations. So that's selected. I click this button and that takes me over to the product dashboard. You can also select it down here. It's the second icon. At any rate, you see the revenue per click times target ACoS and the waterfall bid settings here at the top. If you're using the revenue per click times target ACoS, you actually don't need those middle three, so you can kind of simplify it. However, if you are using the waterfall, which is out of the three the most conservative, so if you're looking to really reduce your ACoS and kind of keep your bids more at a minimum, I would suggest going with this. It's the one I'm currently testing out in my account right now, but I would challenge you to test all of them. Maybe run one for a month and then run the next one for the next month, so on and so forth. There are some definite advantages of each one, which we'll cover in more detail in a future video, but for setting up your bid inputs initially, you can simply hold in Shift, select all of these columns, and then if you get a little handle down there, you see that turns to a plus in the bottom corner. Just click once and drag all the way down, and if you let up, that will pull all of your inputs down. If you're ever using Google Sheets and you see when you do that a number like increases by an increment of 1, what you can do, go back up and do it again, but hold in the control key at the same time. Usually that's gonna fix it for you. But all right, so once you've dragged down your bid inputs, you can go with those defaults or you can change them however you wish. And I'll have another video that goes into what each one of these columns means in detail. But yeah, at this point, just know that you can change these target ACoS thresholds. You can change, you got a click limit threshold here that's going to set your bids to a fixed amount if it goes above a click or a certain number of clicks without a conversion. So all of these segmentation options you're able to adjust with this dashboard at this SKU level, which is nice. And then I mentioned in the onboarding, you've got two hidden kind of tiles here. You've got a profit calculator, so you need to plug in your landed costs here for each SKU. And then if you want to use a coupon, you can always plug those in. It's going to give you your profit, ROI, and gross margin. Gross margin, you always want to have your ACoS if you're wanting to be profitable to be underneath your gross margin. And then if we can hide that, each optimization cycle you can track, at a daily basis or weekly basis, any of these metrics. So you would just literally copy and paste it into these columns and then go to the right as you optimize further. And then that gives you kind of a daily history of how things are going, and pretty simple and straightforward after that. The optimization process is really just 4 steps. You're going to click this button here and it's going to go and get your new bulk sheet. Essentially, it's going to open you up in a new tab, and you'll pick your data range here that you want. If you're using a ratio bid optimization, I would recommend after you've imported and ran based on your 60-day data for a little while. I tend to phase over and use the 30-day, and I actually don't even discount the previous 2 days. A lot of sellers will do that just because the PPC data is not always quite accurate, but I always just click the 30 days, and then you'll deselect that campaign items with 0 impressions, and then hit create spreadsheet. The other iterative method, which we'll have a designated video for that, but it's Mina Elias' strategy, and he likes to do a custom range, and he'll pick, when you select this, he'll pick a 7-day previous range discounting the previous 2 days. So he doesn't like the previous 2 days data, but then he'll take the before that, the last 7 days. So if today's the 9th, I would go from ending on the 7th and then 7 days prior. That would be my range. Same deal, download your spreadsheet. We're going to save that to our Google Drive. And then we've already gone through the onboarding and have our bulk sheet file here built out. So we actually don't need to import one now when we're first getting started. But with each bulk bid optimization cycle that you do, if you want to do it on a daily basis, you can do that. The ratio bidding, that's smart to do because your data is getting further and further refined as you optimize your bids, and depending on your conversion rates and any tweaks you make in the product dashboard there, you're going to more quickly reduce whatever targets you're trying to achieve if the more frequently you do this process. But the process as you go would be, you can delete this bulk file at any time. You'll go through these steps. So step 1, get the bulk sheet like we just did, pick your new data range, pull the data in to Google Drive. Then you're going to go up to File, Import, go to your new bulk file that you've downloaded and just import that. And once it's imported in like we did in the onboarding, step 2 is initialize the bulk file. Once you click that, it's going to go right back to this view. So if you ever, and you'll want to delete this bulk file each time. The other option is if you want to keep a running history of all of the optimization cycles that you do, you could always copy your bulk file into a new sheet, or you could literally make duplicate copies of the system by going up to File, Make a Copy. You could rename it, each day, however you want to do it. But the way I do it, and the way I actually would recommend doing it, is just going to delete it each time. So we're on the onboarding phase right now, so we're going to actually optimize with this initial import. But say we've already optimized it, you can delete this file, then you're just going to use this same copy, and that prevents you from having to reauthorize and everything each time. So it's a little more simple that way. But at any rate, we've already got our bulk file in here from our optimization sequence. Here it's the initialization step we did on the last step, which is the exact same as this one. So this is kind of where we're at right now. The next step is we're going to actually optimize our bids by selecting whichever of these 3 automations we want to use. And if you recall, we've set everything up right now to use one of these 2, and I'm going to recommend the waterfall bid method just to get started. This target ACoS method's good. But what it's going to do is it's really going to make quick, big adjustments to just really try to hone in on a target ACoS, and that can sometimes be detrimental depending on what kind of niche you're in and what your ultimate goals are. So if you're just trying to play it safe and just get a feel for the system, waterfall bidding is going to be your most conservative. At any rate, what this operation is going to do is basically look at our inputs here that we've designated in our products dashboard. And again, if you recall, that's because we've set everything up here to reflect the inputs from the products dashboard. If we would have it selected the ad groups dashboard, that same operation is going to do the same process. It's just going to look at the ads groups dashboard information. So you just want to be sure you have that set up right. And then it's literally as simple on a daily basis as coming in here after you've gone through the initialization sequence and clicking this button. You're going to get a pop-up. You're about to update your bids. Hit yes. And then if you watch when I hit yes, this column AG is going to get some numbers populated. And then this column here, K, is going to change values. These bids here are actually the same, so you're not going to see that be reflected. But I'm going to show you a short list of all the bids that gets changed here in just a second. So Google Sheets, you'll see a running script notification up here at the top. You're going to want to wait till that finishes, and once it's done, that means the bids have been changed and everything's good to go and move on to the next step. So just give that a second, and you'll see a pop-up here that comes up. You've adjusted your bids, a few things you may wish to do. So I'm actually going to go and click this first one here just to show you a short list of all the bid changes. You can also check for duplicate targets. That's called keyword cannibalism, where say I've got 2 exact campaigns that have the same target in it for the same SKU. You'd effectively be bidding against yourself, even though some people claim Amazon doesn't do that. It's hard to say, so it's smart to check for those, and usually it'll just be a short list. Maybe you've made a mistake and added the same keyword in multiple campaigns. You can quickly pause using one of our advanced bulk pause features. Resetting the bids, you can always do that if you want to tweak and check another algorithm out. And then you can review your bid overrides. That's for another video here we'll have, showing you how to pick certain targets out and put them on a bid override list. So what that does is when you run through a bid optimization algorithm sequence, it's just going to ignore essentially those targets on that list and not optimize. It'll stick them to a fixed value instead. So clicking that will basically finish the script up. All right, so if you want to see a short list of all of the targets that were impacted by the bid optimization, you can go up and select bulk filters and actions, and then click review bid changes. And this is actually not going to make a lot of sense for my demo data here, just because it's really arbitrary, and I started a lot of these with overrides. So a lot of these are going to have original bids is like $1, and the optimized bids are going to be quite a bit less. So with the waterfall bid method, it's going to go through some different ratios and recalculate our bid. It's actually getting flagged here for the upper bid setting that I have set. So if you go back to the product dashboard here, you can see I've got for column S here is max bid, everything set to 25 cents. So that's basically saying regardless if the bid optimization algorithm says my bid should be above 25 cents, it's like saying it should be 50 cents based on the current conversion rate in ACOS and whatnot. If I have that set at 25 cents, it's always just going to put that as my max limit. The only caveat would be is if I have a target assigned on my bid override list, the override list is going to take precedence over any of the formulas. So we'll go over that here in a bit, but just know that when you're reviewing your bid sequence results, that's kind of how it's working. And a lot of these just got changed because of the previous default data I had in my bulk file. I had a lot of these at a fixed override limit, and now I pulled them off of the bid override table, so that's why everything's getting flagged. But that can be a helpful filter, especially as you get into it and optimize for a few days. You'll start to see how that works really nicely. The other filters here, the other optimization option here that I didn't show you, if we click here, you get a sidebar that pops out. And where this can be super helpful is maybe you've gone through your bid optimization sequence, but then you've got one campaign that may have multiple keywords in it or targets. You can always use these manual filters up here and find that campaign using the selections, and then it allows you to manually, say I want to manually adjust these by 5%. So percentage, you can also select by a fixed amount, and I want to increase them. And you can set some additional limits there if you want. If I hit update bids, you do have to have the ones selected that you want to update, but go ahead and hit yes, and you'll see here little menu is going to pop up and take just a second, and it'll basically automatically calculate what those bids need to be and make those adjustments. All right, so that's how that works. The other thing you can do is, let's say I want to look for duplicates. You can come up here. I'm not sure if there's going to be any in this data set just because it's demo data, but let's see how it does. All right, so it actually did find some. Again, this demo data is really kind of arbitrary, but the columns you're going to want to pay attention to when you're talking about keyword cannibalism is making sure the SKU here is going to be, the same, and then your targets that you're targeting are in the same match type. So you can see here I've got some product targeting campaigns that your match type column is column N. So you can look over here, and hopefully, you know, these demo campaigns are all real generic titles, but yours will have titles that make sense. And if you use our bulk campaign builder, they'll make a lot of sense. But just know that you can see down here, for example, like you've got, and it's going to be in a default sort, so it'll be all organized by SKU and then by match type and then by keyword. But if you have a scenario like this where you've got, you know, the same SKU in the same match type, in this case exact, and you're targeting the same keyword, you don't only need to do that. You only need to do it once. And you can see we've got some clicks on or impressions on one of these, but not on the other. Maybe you would run into the case like, let's see if we can find one. Okay, here. So in this case, same SKU, all in phrase campaigns. You know, some of these are actually paused, but say all of these are in enabled campaigns, enabled ad groups, and enabled keyword status, but you've only got one here that's making a lot of conversions. And again, the same keyword. So what you want to do in this case is you don't need to target the same keyword in multiple phrase campaigns for the same SKU. So we could click that duplicate filter, come back up here, go to adjust in bulk, and all you would do then is look and see which is performing the best out of the three, and you would select this status column, and that's going to actually pause the keyword in that campaign. And you can actually go across cells and holding the control key for multiple visible range, and then just hit pause all. And what that's going to do is look at those two and pause them. So you can see there it changed them to pause. So now going forward, it's only going to trigger on this campaign that's doing well, and you won't be having to risk any keyword cannibalism and duplication going forward. So that's kind of a bulk operation you can do. But essentially, in a nutshell, after you've ran through your optimization sequence, just done the single click and it's made the modifications, you've reviewed everything, the last step in the optimization process is just clicking this create upload file. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. It's going to say you're about to create your revised file. Hit yes, and all that's going to do is take that upload folder ID on our settings tab. It's going to take all the information here in our bulk file that we've automatically optimized, and it's going to create a new upload file in that Google Drive folder. That all we then do is go to Amazon and go to the bulk uploads operations screen and upload that new file, and automatically all of our keywords are going to be adjusted and everything's good to go. So then you're prepped and primed for the next automation sequence that you can either do the next day, maybe you do it every 3 days, maybe you do it weekly. If you have a small account and you're only spending $100 a week, maybe you do it monthly. But that's in a nutshell the basic process of assigning your bid inputs and optimizing your bids with the 4-step process. And then if we head over to our Google Drive folder and go to our upload folder we created, you can see there at 8:39, it's 8:40 now, but that's the file that was automatically generated. Then all we need to do is go back over to our bulk operations, click choose file. And if you have that desktop application installed, you can click on My Drive, Uploads, and then there it is. And that's what you'll upload. You double click there and hit the upload to process changes. I'm not going to do it because it's demo data, but that is how you optimize your campaigns. Simple as that. So I will see you guys in the next video. We're going to start getting into some more advanced features of the system. But I just wanted to start off by giving you kind of a step-by-step quick process on how it looks to optimize your bids on a daily basis. So see you in the next video, guys. Thanks.